You are listening to the Mountainside Podcast, and joining us in studio for this episode is Meghan Buchanan. Meghan is on an attempt to conquer the 7 summits currently. She's an adventure athlete, aerospace engineer, an advocate for learning disabilities and neurodivergence. But above all that, she's one amazing person to be around. I really enjoyed sitting down and getting to know her during this episode. Enjoy the conversation. Welcome in officially. We started recording, and I think we got about 5 minutes in, and thank God we realized we weren't actually recording. So, right out of the gate, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. You're going to have to start over on the 7 summits here for just a minute. But shout out to Jason Nauert.
Jason Nauert.
Yeah, connecting us. I think you mentioned that you guys did a little bit of hunting together and a little bit of cooking.
So we graduated high school from Woodland Park High School long ago together. And and I was I was training and doing a little survival course for the Netflix show.
Oh, really?
And so Jason met up with me and we went squirrel hunting, and he was teaching me how to properly dress and cook and eat a squirrel. So it was good. And then I'll be honest, we actually ended up sitting in the forest with guns crying about our parents' death. And then we bonded very much.
It's funny how you bond over hunting, or just being in nature.
Yeah,
I'm sure you get the same thing
yeah.
from all the summits that you've done. I'm sure you have some friends. It's like when you face adversity with your friends a little bit, even if it's a squirrel, right?
Yeah.
Because that's something that's
squirrel.
imprinted in your brain probably forever, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you did much hunting prior to that, but
None.
Really?
Zero. Non-hunter.
Yeah.
But actually, it's interesting. I really have so much more respect for it. I live up in Edwards, Colorado, and I have a lot of friends now and that hunt. And even in high school, I do remember literally people would leave school for a week to go hunt with their families.
Yeah.
I have mad respect for how people honor the animal and the sacrifice it makes. I'm not a fan of trophy hunting or that,
to me, I think that's a bad...
No.
It's just a bad label for hunters.
Yeah.
That I think it's people call it trophy hunting that don't necessarily understand the actual conservation behind it.
Yeah.
To me, trophy hunting is poaching. That's what a poacher does, right?
I absolutely.
Which is illegal.
Yeah.
So I always coin it as poaching pretty much.
I know.
Now,
Killing a gorgeous animal just to have something on your wall, that makes no sense. You feeding your family and substance, that's completely acceptable.
And that's why it's a state law that if it's a big game species, you have to consume or have it processed at least for human consumption. They're not going to force feed it to you.
I ate that entire squirrel.
Yeah. They taste pretty good, huh?
It was really good. Yeah.
Listen, if you can take down a squirrel, they're so cute. And, that's pretty cold-blooded. So I think you could do big game.
Yeah. All right.
But if it's not your thing, I think it's just what I get out of it more than anything. It's not even the killing. It's being, and you can attest to this, in the backcountry and facing some adversity and the partnerships and the bonds, and then also putting down your cell phone. That's why I'm kind of bummed about this whole Starlink thing. As much as it's how cool it is and where you can get cell phone service and internet, it's I think it's going to change the game to where we're going to have communication anywhere you're at in the world.
Yeah, it just changes everything. And you might get distracted, and then you're not, that could lead to all sorts of danger. But no, I agree. I've got a really good friend who he taught me how to shoot a bow, and I actually want to learn to actually hunt. I would love in my life to get to a place where I will only eat the meat that I kill.
Yes.
And I have a long ways to go to get there to figure it out. But I remember he's an avid, amazing hunter, but he told me, he's like, Meghan, I've gotten a bear permit for the last 10 years of my life. Do you know how many bears I've killed? 0. He's like, I don't want to kill a bear, but I want the hunt. I love the hunt. Yeah. He's like, I just have one so that if I find myself in trouble and need to protect myself, then I'm not in trouble. But he's like, I don't want to kill a bear. I don't need to kill a bear, but he'll go and get a deer or an elk for his family. But I was like, I love that, Dan. That's amazing. I want to be Dan.
Well, not only that money goes right back to those animals. That's kind of that's the best part about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm very passionate about it.
We
talk about it on nauseam here on the podcast. It's cool that you want to get into it.
Yeah.
There's so many people that I think are realizing with all the bullshit that's in our food that you buy from the store, including the butcher counter, if you're not like sourcing your own meat from farm to table, it goes through
100%.
all the processing and the beet wash and like everything else that they do to make it that bright red color that meat is not naturally that color. You know, it's like, there's so much that goes into it, just preservatives and everything.
And I've gone through phases in my life where I did the vegetarian or the vegan. I have to be gluten-free, so I did gluten-free vegan when I was in Austin, because that's the only place you can really do it. Right. Otherwise, I wouldn't eat anything. No, but I especially when I started getting into big mountain expeditions too, I have to be gluten-free, but the rest of them, like, I need to eat meat. So I reintroduced it into my life when I really got into big mountains again. And then I really decided I can't be mad at anyone who hunts if I eat any sort of meat. So I'm like, I want to learn, because it's about being a part of the land and your community and respecting the animals. And I think it's very beautiful. It's just taken me a while to kind of get there and understand that in my life. So
and it's crazy. We just had a neurophysiologist in. Ooh. And one of the things that she's studying in brain health is the connection between being in nature, like what you get. There's all kinds of bacterias that are good, that are in dirt, tree sap, animal hides, all those sort of bacterias, and it does different things chemically to your brain as well. That's why we feel so good, I think, when you're in nature. Not only are you getting some solitude, but it's all the other stuff that's like flying around, that there's actual scientific knowledge. Yeah. And this is what she's studying, and she also helps with a lot of post-military guys that have operated at a really high level, but she's a super smart woman. But I just thought that was so cool. I was like, this makes so much sense, because I never feel better and have more gratitude than I do after being in nature.
Returning to nature. And I was just talking about this. I was helping two friends of mine leave for Everest in a week. And we all went ice climbing like last Friday, just helping them like figure out that you have to use this ascender, and it's different than ice climbing. And we are just really talking about mental health now, and how much worse everything from the food you're putting in your body, all the crap that affects your mental health. And then I was talking to him about the survival university that I went to with Jason. And one thing that's missing in us is just that natural instinct and accomplishment. When you provide yourself shelter, when you actually make fire, these very things that you think are simple, but they're actually very hard, it is the most rewarding feeling. And I remember when I was there, I actually made fire from nothing from the first time. And I was like, wait, can I cuss here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
I was like,
you should hear me.
I was like, fuck Everest. This is the best thing I've ever done. I just made fire. I made fire.
Better. Yeah,
and I was like, and we just had this big talk where I'm like, if we were taking kids into nature more, and we were talking about this earlier, that was my therapy. As a kid with learning disabilities, I felt so much shame and embarrassment. The outdoors is what built my confidence, because I could be myself and I could accomplish things. And it was just so simplistic, but it's so fulfilling. And that is something I think is missing in so many people's lives. The outdoors does help balance you out and brings you back to where we're naturally supposed to be mentally. And so, it's been any of these expeditions I do, it's addictive in a way where I cannot wait to go and be. And now it is hard to get off grid, like you're talking about, but I want to go be in a tent. I love my sleeping bag. I love just having to worry about survival, taking care of myself, getting sleep, getting to the next point, taking care of my health, chatting with like-minded people. But it's life is broken down into like 5 main components, and all the rest, you don't have to worry about all the other stuff. And nothing feels better. And I feel more myself than any place else than on expedition. I love it. It's healing.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, 1,000%. That's why I hunt. That's why I live here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's why I'm never leaving here.
Yes.
That's why I'm raising my family here. I had choice to live anywhere I want in the country, but this was the spot, just because I want them to experience catching a brook trout.
Yeah.
And then eating it with wild raspberries and, whatever,
Yes.
like there's so much just badass stuff here to do. And
Yeah.
I think the hardest lessons that I ever faced as a kid, or the most adversity I ever faced, was in the backcountry too, like backpacking, 7 miles into,
Yeah.
northern Montana or something like that, outside of Glacier Park, and just doing stuff like that is not easy, right? Like it's very daunting. It's a little bit of traversing. And I remember being on the side of a trail at I think I was maybe 8 years old, like, I want to go home. And they're like, dude, we just made it to the top. It's just as far to where we're going as it is to go home. You did it. Just get your ass up and keep hiking, kind of mentality.
Yeah.
In the nicest way.
Yes. But that is what builds your resilience and your grit. And then that carries on through your life. And exactly, for me with dyslexia and ADHD, it was I really struggled, but it was, we go hiking with my dad and maybe weather came in, or maybe I hurt my ankle, but you turn around and be like, okay, well, we'll go back. We'll try it again next weekend. And I was fine. I was fine at failing at that, but it crushed me at school. And I think that my mom gave me the thing like, well, if you're willing to do that in the outdoors and it's acceptable, then why can't you apply that to school? I was like, well, you have yourself a point there, lady.
Yeah.
But I think being in the outdoors and pushing yourself there, it truly carries on to the rest of your life. And it is through the 7 summits for me that I, as an adult, have truly found who I am and finally good enough for myself. And when you can finally do that by pushing through so much, then you're limitless. Because actually just failing doesn't mean it doesn't have bad consequences anymore. It's just failing's not failing. It just didn't work out that time.
There's a safety net, there's safety rails on everything these days.
Everything.
Even if you fell at business, it's like you can still go get another loan to start another business or go bankrupt, or like there's all these safety nets,
Yeah.
In nature, if you fail, it doesn't care if you know how to read or write. It doesn't care if you can't read well out loud. It doesn't care if your car payment's paid. It is relentless. And unless you've spent any time at a super high elevation where the elements get crazy, I think lightning strikes are like the number one killer, right? For
probably
backcountry hunters or falling.
Yeah.
Those are the two main killers. It's not, everybody thinks about predators and, mountain lion attacks or bears.
Animals want nothing to do with you.
Yeah. Good luck. You'd be pressed trying to see a mountain lion on your own without dogs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not going to, unless you're pursuing them, good luck.
Yeah.
But it's always, it just doesn't, it doesn't care. I think that's
all
what
it cares
I love about.
It just cares if you get back up or not. If you just try again, that's all it cares. Just are you tough enough? Are you going to try it again? And that's all it cares about.
That's your only option. Wow. So I want to dive into, because we're going to burn through time. This is a time machine in here. So I definitely want to get into all the amazing places that you've been, all the summits that you've done, what you got coming up that was unfortunately just canceled, or you've been trying for 7 years.
So it's still going to be coming up.
Right? Yeah. So what happened there?
Okay.
Because we touched on it lightly, and then I think that was about the time we realized that we weren't recording. So.
Yeah. So one of my goals and milestones is something called the Explorers Grand Slam, and that is the 7 summits. So it's the highest peak on every continent, and then it's a last degree ski to the North and South Pole, which means you're a self-supported team. You're on a Nordic ski with skins set up, but you go across the polar, either Antarctica or the Arctic frozen ocean, 100-pound sled behind you with all your gear. We're all self-supported. Wow. And so it's I love climbing. And so the polar stuff, oh man, it's brutal. All day long, every day, you're like, why have I made the choices I've made? There's
no return, right?
Well, so the last degree ski, normally what they'll do is you make it there to the pole, woohoo! And then usually the logistics will come and pick you up. Mm-hmm. So I've done 7 summits and the South Pole. All I have left is the North Pole. And there are only 12 women that have ever completed this. Wow. And very few men. I think it's probably maybe around 40, 45 men that have. But one of the reasons why, because it's so hard to get to. And so this is the 7th year in a row for various reasons, but the latest one is just the geopolitical unrest. We have to go through Russia. 3 of us Americans went last year to try it, but then there were issues with the ice. We had to turn around, so we're trying it again this year. Yeah, I was one of the 3 Americans that went through.
Wow. What was that like? Was that
I was extremely nervous, especially because I have a job as an aerospace engineer. So I was very, very nervous. Did a lot of research and intel. It really came down to, I call myself a calculated risk taker. I weigh things out. Yes, there are things I do, jumping crevasses that have a little more danger, but I had done so much research on all the laws. You just don't want to give them a reason to detain you. And everyone who has been detained, there has been a reason. There was a law broken. So we went through, me and my team did just so much research, and I felt as prepared as I could be. But I also knew I was taking the risk that if I am detained, maybe 10 years in a Siberian prison will add another chapter onto my book. But it was a risk I was willing to take to achieve this extraordinary goal. When I went, everything was fine. And actually, the really most endearing part is in this town, Krasnoyarsk, which is in the middle of Siberia, very industrial town, huge river goes through. Everyone just living their lives. And we tried to keep a low profile, but eventually they hear us speaking English. A lot of college kids there run up to us. Oh my gosh, how are you here? How are you here? They're like, how did you get here? We're like, we're doing the North Pole. And they just look at you and they're just like, we miss being a part of the world. And I met a guy, was there as his son. He's like, I lived in Denver for 6 years. He's like, I had to come back or I would never see my son again. And they're all just like, it doesn't matter what country you're in. You have your leaders and you may not agree with them, but they're just people trying to get through the freaking day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just as relatable. We're so fortunate here in America, but I think it's just as relatable here. Like, nobody's ever happy with the administration or half the country isn't or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm so fortunate with all the traveling that I've got to do. I've got to go to Russia. I've got to go to, I've been to Kyiv, it was a beautiful city. It's so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
What's happened there, just over this conflict. But yeah, I think the world is, for the most part, people are just working, trying to get by, trying to create. Maybe they're artists or whatever, right? Yeah. Like, they don't really care about the politics. It's not like, not everybody's Ivan Drago from Rocky IV. You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
Just this.
Well, and on these expeditions, I travel around the world to the most extreme places to get all of this done. And you'll meet a lot of the same people, and they're from all sorts of different countries. And that's another beautiful unifying thing, is that we are all in one place trying to reach the same goal, and it just bonds you. And I remember down in Antarctica, which is, what an amazing place that is. And I did the last degree ski back to back with climbing the highest peak there, which is Vincent Massive. And so there's a huge group of Russians, and I have to tell you, like, sometimes they're a pain in the ass on the trail because honey badger doesn't give a shit. Like, they'll just throw trash. They don't care. But I'll tell you, no one is more fun to celebrate afterwards than the freaking Russians. Like,
Astrovia. I know that word.
I know.
Yeah.
And the Argentinians.
And the vodka is so good.
Oh my God. Everyone from around the country. And it is this amazing small community that we all get to know each other and just root each other on. And that is one of the great things about social media. We have these friends all over the world and we're like, oh, go for it, girl. You can get that mountain. And yeah, I really love it. But I am bummed because it always happens. I'm supposed to leave in 9 days. And so, you get your life. I was going to be on about 3 weeks and you have to it's so expensive. You get so much in order and then, canceled. So
not only that, like, I'm sure for what you're doing, you're athlete status in my eyes.
I feel like
all the cross training and stuff.
Oh,
and, that's got to be another reason why you live here in Colorado, right?
Oh, 100%.
Access to so much elevation here.
Oh my gosh. It just depends on what I'm going to be doing. It's just very different training. And so I hone in on that. So yeah, I've been trained but there's about a 2 to 3 week window that you can do this last degree ski, the North Pole. So it's not like, oh, maybe I can go in a couple months. No, you have to wait an entire year to go again. And normally that's not so much, but with the North Pole, the Arctic is melting so rapidly that we might be past the point of being able to anyone to do this again. So there is a time constraint on it. So then, okay, great. So you start looking at solutions, right? If you can't get there the classic way of a ski, so I'm starting to look at what if I do a hybrid? What if I kayak and I ski? So, then you get to be creative and figure it out. If you want it, keep working at it. You keep going for it.
So freaking cool. So I think for listeners that maybe don't know, can we just explain what the 7 summits are and what continents? It's basically all the continents,
right? It's all continents, yes. So it is the highest peak on each continent. And there are 2 versions, the Bass version and the Mesner version. So Bass is named after Dick Bass. He was a businessman who helped develop Vail, Snowbird. He is the first just regular Joe Schmo who made the 7 summits a thing with the highest peak in Australia, the land continent of Kosciuszko. It's only like 7,400 feet. I mean, it was a cute little day hike. It was adorable. Yeah. But so he did that. Then Reinhold Messner is a famous Italian mountaineer. And he's like, Kosciuszko is not a mountain. I kind of agree. It's a ski hill. But what he did is he picked right above, if you look at a map, right above Australia is this little island, Papua New Guinea. And it is right above Australia. It's on the same like continental plate so literally it should be a part, but technically it's a part of Indonesia.
Right.
And so Indonesia is Asia. That highest peak is Everest. But this Carstens pyramid on Papua is 16,030 feet, much higher than Kosciuszko. So Reinhold Messner was like, nope, this is the 7 summits. So either one is acceptable. Also, so Carstens pyramid was closed down for 5 years for civil unrest. So I finished the 7 summits with Kosciuszko, but I was given an opportunity. They just opened the mountain back up this past year. So I went in October. And talk about craziness. That thing was a shit show. So I'm the first U.S. woman to climb it in 5 years, but it was waiting for 5 years. We were there for 2 weeks waiting for logistics. We had rebels threatening to kidnap us and hold us ransom.
Shit.
There was an election going on. We had political figures trying to find us like foreigners and take pictures with us, and then they would post where we're at. Then we had to move hotels. It was insanity.
Did you have any sort of security with you or anything?
No. So then we finally get to the base camp, and we had to fly in, and it's over one of the world's largest gold and copper mines. That's why there's civil unrest.
Yeah.
So we fly in, and we're like, oh my God, we're here. Then my duffel doesn't make it. And so I'm at 14,000 feet with no duffel. And so, but there's a team of 4 of us. We kind of swap stuff, and I'm just like, fuck this. We are going tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
We're doing, so we borrowed gear, and we went on all of this for a 6-hour climb. It was it was awesome. It was really fun. I love the climb, but so much work to get this one peak. There are probably 6,000 people about that have climbed Everest. At the time that I went, only 500 people had climbed Carstens pyramid. That's
really? How
crazy it is to get to. So that's Messner's version. So I have done both Bass and Messner's. And then the last degree ski to the North and South Pole. And so Antarctica,
so that's the last one on the list.
North Pole is the last one for Explorers Grand Slam. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry that got canceled.
Well, I am too. But like I said, I am pretty used to it.
Yeah.
Like it's just
gives you another year to get ready. I guess
there's no point in wasting one tier over what I have zero control over.
If you're not checking out the Mountainside podcast on YouTube, you absolutely should be. If you like the content that we create here and you want to help support the podcast, please take a moment, subscribe to us on YouTube, and hit that notification bell. Exactly.
This is a fun, amazing goal that I have. Like, this is not devastating. This is slightly disappointing. Like, my life goes on.
Yeah.
I just pivot right into a couple other things I've got going on. I'm like, that's fine. We'll just focus on this. And I just think that's your life. You cannot let things
You have to be able to
you
pivot.
have to be able to pivot.
Yes.
My God.
Constantly.
Yeah.
And just keep going, like that's the whole thing. I think that's your whole philosophy with grit, right? Like, it's just, which is super cool. I want to dive into that, but going back to what was the first peak that you summited, and then going in order down the list, and then I guess maybe your journey, or you had a pretty serious accident snowboarding, right? Didn't you say?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Almost died, right? Like,
Yeah.
almost bled out.
Yes.
So femoral break?
Yeah. I broke. So literally, if this is your femur bone, I decapitated the top of my femur bone off and spiral fractured it down, muscles ripped off. And it was, I'll say the ski patrol. I was in the back bowls of Vail.
This is before you even thought about climbing.
It was actually, I had already done Kilimanjaro. I had done Kilimanjaro with my father. I was 29, and I grew up hiking with him. Like I said, the outdoors was my therapy. So even through college, we'd always meet up and hike. I did my first 14er with him when I had to have been like 10, 11 years old. And so I remember when he called, he's like, do you want to climb He didn't even get Kilimanjaro out. And I was like, yes. And so we went and did it, had the best experience with him. And so what happened with this accident, and I had actually done a trek to Everest Base Camp as well. It was with a charity that I was with, and that was just absolutely amazing. So I was like a cute little hiker, like, oh, I did Kilimanjaro. Right. But like in Colorado, who hasn't done Kilimanjaro? Right. But yeah, so I was skiing. It was a Super Bowl Sunday. Epic powder day with my friends. We were tucked way up in windows. We knew where the powder's going to be. And I was following a girlfriend who's ex-US ski team. I was on a board, so we were hauling ass. We went through a cut through trees, and I hit a downed tree under powder. Never saw it. So
oh my God.
Like at 25
Full
miles
speed?
an hour. Yeah. So it just popped off. And
my God.
yeah, I was, it was not good. And then Ski Patrol
What
could
was
not.
the rescue? Yeah, that was.
They could not find us. So eventually my friends, and I'll tell you, my girlfriend, and there was 5 of us, but I remember she had cleared the trees, and on her way down, she stopped because she heard it break. And she knew, being ski team, she knew what it was. And she looked up, didn't see me come out of the trees. She took off her skis and started hiking up. She knew. And so finally, friends had to go get Ski Patrol. I had been in the snow, which is probably a good thing, for almost an hour and a half. And my teeth.
You're so lucky you didn't hit that artery right there.
I was bleeding internally. It was not good. My teeth were chattering so bad. I had stuck a glove in my mouth. I broke a molar from the teeth chattering, and I just was flowing in and out of, like, I have a choice whether to stay conscious or not. I think I'm going to stay conscious. And your body just goes into shock. Like I was very nauseous, but I was just working on breathing. I just went to my happy place. And the Ski Patrol got there, and they were getting, I remember he calls in, this guy, Bryce. I know Bryce and Stevie G very well now. And he's like, anyone available, get your asses over here. Pretty much for them, it was a training experience. It was a life or death matter. And so they were working on things. And I just remember they had the cage around me, and he's like, Meghan, we're going to have to move your leg now. You are not going to like this. And I remember, like, I just go, giddy up. Giddy up, cowboy. There's only one way off this mountain. No, I did not realize the pain that was going to ensue. It was literally like someone was trying to rip my leg off and shove hot lava down my veins. Oh. And I didn't cry. I had this guttural scream. And then I was begging him to punch me out. And he's like, I can't do that. And my friends are crying. And
they don't carry morphine or anything with you?
the mountain doc was going to meet us at the cat track. Of course, I'm up a black, for God's sakes.
Oh, yeah.
So they get the compression on my hip though. And where it was horrible, but I remember they got compression where I was like, just go. So we went and these two guys carried me down and the doc met and he gave me as much as he could. It did nothing. And so now all these friends are there now too. So we've got like 15 ski patrol. We roll into chair 5 and it was packed, but you could have heard a pin drop. Everyone just thought, a dead person is coming through. So we got VIP under the lift out of there. But even like I remember the ambulance came up the cat track of Vail Mountain as far as it could go. It was not good.
Yeah.
So emergency surgery, woke up to a 14-inch titanium rod in my leg. And like you're lucky to be alive and you will probably have a wheelchair or a cane the rest of your life.
Holy shit. So what was the recovery like?
It was, it was life-changing.
Didn't you say you were allergic to the titanium rod?
We figured it out a year and a half later.
Oh my God.
So I ended up, I was up in Vail and I couldn't go back to work for 2 months. I was very, very drugged. I was in physical therapy. It took me forever, to 6 months to get off crutches even. But my leg and my muscle, it was in 24/7 horrific pain. It never stopped. I ended up having to leave my job. I ended up moving to Vail full time to try, I've got to get my leg back. I was in a relationship that broke up because the chronic pain and the depression, it sets in. I mean, I'm like, nope, I'm going to show up every day. We're going to work on this. But it just gets to you. And my doctor never gave up on me. My physical therapist never gave up on me. I didn't give up on me. And after a year and a half of trying everything, it was my physical therapist like, I think you're allergic to titanium, which there wasn't a test for at the time. So we went through everything. We did it out. My doctor's like, yeah, let's take it out. So they did. So after a year and a half of that in my leg, to go upstairs, I had to have a cane and a railing. They took it out within 1 month. I could go up and down stairs unassisted. And within 6 months, I did the trek to Everest Base Camp again.
6 months?
6 months, yes.
Whoa,
and that
let's go.
is
You're
when
a savage. You can wear that hat.
That is when I was like, I don't care about pain.
Wow.
I was so tough mentally and emotionally that I was like, I want to do Kilimanjaro again. So I went the next year to do that. It was a piece of cake. So I'm like, I'm going to do Aconcagua, the highest peak in South America. So I went and did that. And it was I loved it. It was so fun. And then I was telling you, I met a woman drinking wine in Mendoza, and she had done the 7 summits, and she was one of George Mallory's lineage. And
wow.
I know, and we just sat there drinking wine, and this is where it all started for me. I had been toying with this idea of grit because I wanted to teach other people how to push through pain and discomfort, and you can achieve great things. But she was like, if Aconcagua was easy for you, start training technically, you can do Everest, you can do it. And I, drinking a great Malbec, I was like, I'm going to do the 7 summits. And that's where it was born. That's where
Really?
I decided that I'm going to show through grit, gratitude, growth, resilience, integrity, and tenacity, you can achieve extraordinary things. And that's when I set on the 7 summits and then added on the North and South Pole to do the Explorers Grand Slam. And damn it, I'm so close.
Yeah. So even though that this is a personal goal, mm-hmm. it's also much more than that. It means much more to you.
Yeah.
Than just getting the 7 summits is like, look what I've done, right? Like
yeah.
You're using this to inspire other people.
Truly, these
So was
tools,
that at the forefront, or was it like
it all merged together at about the same time? Because I started doing talks. I'd always done talks for schools to help motivate, and especially neurodivergent kids with their learning disabilities and women getting into STEM. But I realized that there's something, the thing that all connected together is like, you have to be willing to do the work and be vulnerable and uncomfortable and fail and get back up every single time. And I had to learn slowly for myself, no more crying, no more whining. No one's coming to save you. You've got to save yourself. And the more that I just leaned into that, and I'm like, well, hell, I'll go try this. I'll learn to ice climb. I'll go do this. Bruised, like totally bruised up, broken up, however many more bones and concussions I could get. That's probably not a good thing.
Yeah.
But still, like,
especially with your line of work.
I know. Well, and then with work, I started applying it with work, where I have to say, honestly, I really didn't extend myself a lot with work, because I think deep down I still was so embarrassed, like they're going to find out I still hid I was dyslexic. I was so embarrassed by it. But then I started leaning in to who I am fully and deciding I don't want to be afraid of failure anymore. I don't want to be embarrassed. I want to be who I am. So I use grit over and over again to keep pushing my boundaries further and further. And it works. And I was like, I want to teach other people how to do this for themselves, because you don't have to climb Everest. I mean, literally could be like, I just want to get my kid through high school, or I want to level myself up at work, or I just want to learn to love who I am. Like, that's actually the best thing you could possibly learn in this lifetime. But I've just found through these tools of grit, you really can achieve anything you want to do. And it's not just the goals you choose. Majority of the time, it's the goals that have been thrown at you, because that is life. All those obstacles, you didn't choose them, but you need to change the narrative and own it. When you own what has been thrown at you and make it your goal, then it gives you power and you can move through it.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I definitely want to go down the dyslexia road. But to rewind a little bit, what was it like doing that first trip and then going into these other trips? Like, I'm sure you just mentioned that in cross training, you had concussions and broken bones from ice climbing. Like, the stuff that you're doing are not like your typical safe sport where there's safety rails or a ski patrol that can get you. You start climbing ice, that gets pretty daunting, right? Like, that's,
I will say no concussions from ice climbing and that kind of thing. No, those were from other stuff. A lot of mountain biking accidents too.
Those are dangerous, man. Mountain bikes are some of the most dangerous things out there.
Well, I tell you what, I really was like, my mom once told me, she's like, I think you were born without the fear gene. And I was like, well, I had a lot of fear around reading and that kind of thing, but the outdoors, not so much. But when I actually started training for Everest and after that huge femur break, I actually curtailed a lot of the activity I did, because I couldn't take the chance of an injury because I didn't have time to recover. Right. So when I started training really hardcore for Denali and Everest, I stopped snowboarding on the mountain. I would go do stuff backcountry, but I didn't want to get the chance of hitting something or being hit. And I didn't have time to waste on a lovely day of snowboarding. I needed to train. But I stopped mountain biking hard stuff. It was more training rides, like just steep climb, nice little fire road down. I definitely changed.
Yeah, if you're playing defensive end for the Denver Broncos, you're not allowed to go skiing.
Correct.
You're not allowed to go snowboarding. Like, those things are retirement after
the amount of
your career.
Money and time climbing Everest and doing all of these mountains takes. You don't want to. I don't have anyone else paying my bills but me. So I am fortunately not independently wealthy or have what am I thinking of? An inheritance or anything like that. So I don't want to waste my money. Right. So I stopped doing that.
There's a lot of people that are in those spaces that do have that though, right? Like trust fund.
God bless those people.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's still.
There really are. Yeah.
No matter what your financial situation is, it's still an undertaking, right? Like the mountain doesn't care whether you're a trust fund kid or you have your own job or that you didn't pay your mortgage to go or whatever. I'll tell you what,
right? Some mountains do care. Because, and if this is always, people are like, well, what do you think the hardest one was? I have so much more respect for Denali than I do Everest, because when I summited Everest, I actually went through it was anticlimactic for me. I did all the work to learn the skills, and really I felt deserved to be there. You will see people open up a box of mountaineering boots for the first time at base camp. And you're like, what is happening? People literally can pay to be pushed and pulled up that mountain to the top. So when I summited, I was like, anybody can summit this mountain if you can deal with altitude. Denali. Oh, I love Denali. I got my little Denali shirt.
Yeah,
because it's Denali. It's not McKinley, people. So That
and
one,
it's an American peak. Let's go.
Yeah. So that one is self-supported. We have 60-pound packs. You pull 60-pound sled behind you. We carry all
On top of the pack?
a sled and a harness behind us. Pull it up the mountain at least until about 14,000 foot camp, and that mountain does not care if you're male or female. 120 pounds, 220 pounds, how many Instagram followers you have, doesn't care what's in your bank account. It will treat you like a bitch. Like, it will treat you the same way. That was such a rewarding mountain to summit. And I know people that have summited Everest, but they've tried Denali numerous times, they haven't even been able to climb Aconcagua because you have to do the work. You have to really do the work. So I loved Denali for that.
Yeah, it's not a tourist.
It is not, no.
Area, right? Yeah.
You can't fly in and out of base, or well, I guess you just fly in base
Right.
camp, but you can't fly in and out of, high camp.
How much are you guys? Because we've had some mountaineers in. I don't know if we've had anybody that's done 7 peaks. Maybe Lisa. Do you know Lisa Thompson? Breast cancer survivor. She did K2.
I don't know her.
Look
personally.
up if she's done 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did back when we were doing virtual stuff. We're so fortunate. She wrote an amazing book on her breast cancer journey. I should introduce you to.
I would love it. Where
And
does she live?
summited K2. She's in Washington.
Okay.
So she's always up in the Cascades doing stuff. Lisa Thompson. If you go to there should be links from the Mountainside podcast too. If you go to episodes and then just scroll down until you find her, it's going to be a ways down. I need to have Lisa back on too.
Yeah, I want to know what her
is K2 one of the 7?
No, so that's part of 14 peaks. So
14 peaks.
So
okay,
she might
maybe
be chasing
she did,
14
I think
peaks.
she's chasing 14 then.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah, she's an amazing woman with an amazing story. She decided, post in cancer remission that this was the new focus in life. Like, screw everything else because,
I'll tell you,
a huge wake up call when death is something, when you're staring that in the eyes, right? Like,
when the people that you meet doing these, everyone has a story that, like, I have met some of the most phenomenal people where I'm in such awe. And it really, you just meet the most extraordinary people. Or you meet people that want to do it, that aren't willing to face, it's those people who aren't willing to do the work, or they haven't done the work to face who they are, and they just melt down on the mountain. They melt down on the mountain. They throw tantrums. Because it really truly brings out who you are. And you see so much beauty and love and community. And then you've got assholes sprinkled in here and there.
They always find their way in some place, right?
You're like, a lot of times their names are Jim. Like, Eeyore, come on, buddy.
Yeah. Karen.
She has done the 7 summits.
Okay.
Woo!
Yeah, she's awesome. I should connect you.
Yeah, I would love it.
Scroll down a little bit. Let's see. Her book is Finding Elevation.
I have heard of this book. I think I've heard of this book.
Yeah, she's awesome. It's a great read too.
Yeah, that's
I would give you the
awesome.
book, but I gave it away to another.
You know what?
survivor, so-
I'm big on audiobook right now. I do so much training.
Yeah.
That I love to listen to books.
I think she read the audiobook. That's how I take it in.
Yeah.
Well, I'm dyslexic as well, so like.
Well, we like
it's
to
perfect.
be read too.
Yeah. Let's go. No, Lisa's awesome, but So going in, so you do. Denali is the second mountain that you did? Out of
No,
the 7?
so I did.
I'm sorry.
No, that's right. I did Kilimanjaro.
That's right.
2 times in a row, and then like 5 years in between, or 10 years. No, 5. I don't remember. Oh my, how many times have I done it? 2 or 3. And then the next one I did was Aconcagua, and then I wanted to start training for Denali. So while I was trained, I started doing, real courses on Mount Baker and, crevasse rescue and, trying to move from being a hiker into a mountaineer. And so then I went to Russia and did Elbrus, which is the highest peak in Europe then. And then I went to Denali. And I summited Denali on July 4th in 2019, America. And then, then I asked my guide, I was like, am I ready for Everest? And he was like, fuck yeah, you're ready for Everest. Like, sweet. So I wanted to go right into the climbing season. So I was set to leave the end of March in 2020, but we all know what happened in the middle of March in 2020. So 2 weeks before I was going to leave for Nepal, this little thing called COVID happened.
Yeah.
So, it's the same. You have the small window. So you have to wait a whole nother year. I went in 2021 back to Everest. And of course, we were looking also, we didn't know how long COVID would last. And so I'm like, oh, well, I could go and do this peak in between or whatever, but everything just kept getting canceled. I went to Nepal finally in 2021, and I had just gotten vaccinated. I knew no one in Nepal was going to be vaccinated. It was a risk to go, knowing that COVID's still out there.
Was that a requirement to travel or out of country?
I don't know. I think for the U.S. to get back in, you had to be. But I also wanted to get it because I didn't want COVID at high elevation.
Right.
That's not good.
That's not good.
Very dangerous.
Yeah.
So, so I got the vaccine. I'm like, hope this baby works. And we went, and then it was an unprecedented year in 2021. Two hurricanes came up and over from India, and then ended up being like snowstorms that have never been seen in the Himalayas before. And the weather was horrible. People were getting sick everywhere at camp. My team, and I'm with the Mountaineering company climbing the 7 summits, and they're really amazing. And we just kept isolated. We wouldn't allow anyone else into our camp. We kept going. And we were on the mountain for like 6.5, 7 weeks. And we were ready to go for summit bid. Because there was finally a window. There had been so many storms.
Because you're just waiting on weather, like openings,
at that point,
right?
Yeah, because you go and you acclimatize, you do these rotations way up to the higher camps, you come back down, you let your body rest. So yeah, we were waiting for a big enough window so that we could go summit. And we were ready to go for summit bid. We were hours from leaving from base camp. And we get word that the Delta variant of COVID has wiped out all of our climbing Sherpa. Everyone's sick. A whole bunch of them are at Camp 2. We've got 2 guys on oxygen. And so Mike Hamill of Climbing 7 Summits, he makes a call. He's like, everyone down to base camp. This is 2 days. So everyone comes down. Everyone gets tested. And I mean, I'm clean. The people who got vaccinated did not have it. But all of the climbing Sherpa had it. And so season over. And it was oh man. So I was like, first of all, all I know is right then I was like, I'm coming back next year. I'm going to do this. Because it's also another year of training. Training for Everest is a beast. It is exhausting.
Well, you
sacrifice
train like
all
fighters
weekends.
do. I relate it to fighters because most fighters, whether they're professional boxers, bare knuckle guys, UFC guys, we have so many of those guys in here. And I don't think people realize the work and the shape that they have to stay in, that they put in for an entire year to have a 15-minute fight. Like it's insane.
Yeah. And they say, don't be in the best shape of your life. Be in Everest shape of your life.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And it's true because you also, as we're getting older, you also, you want your body to be a top shape to help prevent injury, to give yourself the best chance. So, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this again. Or we have to have the time off of work again. Oh, God. But I'm like, I'm doing this. So I went right back in 2022. And I tell you what, the weather was amazing. It was like, Lady Everest is like, you come on, girl. This is your year. I got you. And I summited in 5.5 weeks and in and out. And so, and I'm so sorry, actually, so between those two, between 2021 and 2022, in December, because the Everest season is March, April, May. I actually did go to Vincent in between Antarctica, got that one done. So I got Vincent done, and then I went back to Everest and summited. And then all I had left was either Kosciuszko or Carson's Pyramid. So I did Kosciuszko in Australia, and went and drank wine there too. There's a theme here. And then so I'd finished my 7 summits, and then I was really trying for the North Pole every year. And then, like I said, last October, Carson's actually opened, so I got that one done too. So I think there's about 30 women that have done both versions of the 7 summits. So,
wow,
I know because that freaking Carson's.
Yeah, badass. that's a crazy accomplishment. What is the workup like? Because I just use the analogy of a fighter. Is it kind of like a fight camp where you're just staying in shape, and then once you start getting closer, you start working up and doing more? Because you actually have to be in fight shape, right? Or in optimum shape. Like you just talked about the science of, camp 1, camp 2, or base camps. There's different levels to base camps and getting acclimated at elevation before you can actually go to the next step of that. And like, there's so many correlations in life with that too. Like they're in growth, right?
Yeah.
So what is kind of the nuts and bolts science of like, what kind of elevation can the human body stay at for how long and still be able to summit to 27,000 feet or whatever? Is there who's breaking this down? Who's figured it out? Like,
there's a lot of studies, and actually I met this guy who's phenomenal. Name's Walt, and he works for out of the University of Montana or Montana University. I'm so sorry if I'm going to get mixed up. They do research and studies on the physiology of altitude in the body. So there's so many studies that happen, and it is fascinating because the answer to your question is going to be, it depends on your body. And a lot of it's hereditary. I know that for me, and so many mountaineers, we have what's called the gene. And that's probably why we end up doing it, because we're not as in much pain as everyone else. My body just processes altitude really well. And so it's things like I don't really get headaches. My fingers don't swell. A lot of us too, like we don't get hangovers. I process medications fast. I process caffeine fast. I know. That's sometimes a blessing and a curse. But so it just depends. I mean, I've gone on Everest with the logistics company I'm with. I told them, I'm like, I'd really kind of like to play with oxygen levels, and they have liability. They want their people to live. They're like, I tell you what, you summit once with oxygen, you want to come back and do it again, then we'll talk about it. And I was like, okay, fair enough. So, I mean, I am really interested to see how high I can go. I mean, we tagged Camp 3 without oxygen, and that's probably like 25,000. Yeah.
So
and
crazy. What was it like? I mean, what was it like breathing at 20? Because I know what it does. This is 7,200 or 7,300, right? So I'm pretty acclimated.
Yeah.
And then I go to like LA for a week for work or whatever.
Feel super
I
strength.
feel awesome. And then I come back.
Yeah.
And like for 3 days, I'm like, why am I tired? Or why am I feeling like the cardio's not there or whatever?
I definitely
it's just
think
the altitude.
It helps so much. And I mean, definitely now when you're getting to really high altitude mountains, I mean, at some point, me living at 8,000 feet, like, is it real? I mean, it may just give me a boost in the beginning of a climb. I mean, at some point.
Yeah, but it's not 22,000.
No, I
right?
know. At that high, like someone who lives at sea level or in Edwards is really a difference. And again, it depends on your body. I think it helps to live and train at high altitude because, then we'll go, I hike like a 14er every weekend. So I'm at some really good altitude.
Every weekend?
In the summer, I will try to do on like every weekend at least. It's my awesome. Quick train. So we were talking about the fitness, like you just keep this. There's a really great book, the Art of Alpinism or Training for Alpinism. But
can you look that up, Gabby, just so we can give the author? We got it right here. That's okay. Gabby's here
I'm trying to remember what it is.
Because I'd be curious to read this because I notice it when I'm backcountry bow hunting because the elk. I'm an elk hunter.
Or training of alpinism, probably.
The elk live at like
it's not the art of
12,000, 13,000 feet.
Oh, they're new alpinism. Sorry. There we go.
The art of new alpinism. Right.
Sorry. You were talking about when you're backcountry.
Oh, I'm just saying, like, I notice, or even in the summer, if it gets too hot here for me in Evergreen, Colorado, I'm always like, let's go to 10,000 feet and do something.
For sure.
Let's go to a high alpine lake and trout fish or whatever, fly fish, right? So I just know when I do go, it's a huge difference. It can be like, 80 degrees here in Evergreen or 75. Yeah. You go to 14,000 feet, now it's 40 degrees.
It feels glorious.
Tons of different weather elements, shortness of breath, maybe a headache here or there, if you didn't drink enough water. Like if you're not prepared.
Yeah.
If if you're not doing something like
Most
the
people
right
are not prepared.
hydration, all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff, there's little tricks and hacks that like you have to have salt.
Yeah.
Like salt is a huge component to
And it really,
surviving at altitude.
and
I
people
think.
ask always for advice and things, which they should, and you give it. But it's also, well, which boots? What should I do? How should I do this? And
It's all gear related.
A lot of it's gear, but training. But part of it, I tell people, I'm like, you've got to put in the time to figure out what works for you.
Yeah.
Because what works for me is probably not going to work for you.
It's the same with bow hunting.
Yeah, I know it down to what food I need, the way that my bag is rigged. I know I can wear Injinji toe socks. I love them, my feet. But if your toes swell, you can't. I know.
Injinji toe socks.
Injinji toe socks. They're endurance runner socks, and I
Really?
started wearing them. I've worn them just a thin.
For like ultra runners or something?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I wear them now. A lot of people wear them for ski socks, but I wear those in my mountain.
Oh, are they like a
mountaineering
glove
boots.
for your foot,
Yeah,
right?
their
They have
little toe.
Okay.
They keep they're it's blister preventing. So I started wearing
Really?
them and I love them. I don't even wear the big thick wool socks in my mountaineering boots. I've never had to. I just wear these little, but that works for me. For so many people, it's not going to work for
I want to try them this year for bow
God,
hunting.
I love them.
All right.
But
Before
anyway,
we
so
look up
this-
the Gingy socks, yeah.
So the new alpine. So I got this when I was studying or going to start really training for Denali. I read through it and it's really, really good for people who are interested in really starting to get into mountaineering. But I realize everything they're talking about, this is how I've always trained. It was just something that I naturally kind of figured out by being out there enough
That's
and
rad.
training for it. So it's a lot of things like the best way to train for the mountain is to be on the mountain. And we live here. We're so lucky. But I remember meeting people that are from South Carolina or Florida or Texas. And I knew this guy who came from Oklahoma City, and he would go and hike with a weighted pack the skyscraper building in his town. And I was like, that had to have been so boring after some time. Oh my God. But he was dedicated, so he found a way. But a lot of people would be like, I want to climb Kilimanjaro.
Well, it's a reason to train. I think I need
is,
that.
yeah.
That's another
for
reason that
sure.
I hunt. It's like, if I didn't have anything to look forward
Yeah.
to or nothing to train for
Yeah.
or something that I wanted to be better at, that was another reason why I did jujitsu.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
Yeah.
like, it gave me another reason for different
love
types
that.
of strength training. And
Having something to train for,
Yeah.
And I will, even though a lot of my expeditions are usually about a year apart, but you always keep, the biggest suggestion I can have is keeping what we call level of fitness. You're always keeping a level of fitness. So
it's
I'm,
super important.
yeah, and I'll get back from something and I will allow myself be like, okay, you're going to let your body rest and recover. Getting older too, a huge part that I never used to have to do is actually really paying attention to recovery.
Sleep
And
is so important.
Eat what you're eating and letting your body rest. And like when I got done with Kosciuszko, I didn't realize my body was holding on so tight that I kind of felt mentally like, oh, I can take a break for a minute. And all these injuries started coming out. And my knee and my ankle. And I was like, oh my God, I'm falling apart. My
Because
body.
you stopped moving, you think?
No, I think also I just mentally I was allowing myself to relax. Your body is just so amazing how it will keep going. We can talk about the survival thing, Outlast,
Yeah.
which I shared. I ended up flaring out. Spoiler alert.
Which
if you
is
haven't
the
seen it.
Netflix TV show,
Netflix
correct?
TV show, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I knew there was something very wrong with my body. And through all the extremes that I've done, I know my body really, really well. I know what it's like to starve. I know what frostbite is. I know what all these different things are. And something felt so different. And I knew it was not good. So after like day 9, I flared. And then got back to civilization, went to the hospital the next day.
Flare is like you shoot a flare.
Flared out. Yeah,
rig
like
at
I'm like, I'm
rescue.
out, tapping
Yeah.
out. I had given myself full-blown shingles. I'd stressed my body so bad, but I didn't even know.
Those are bad.
I
They come
thought-
from chicken pox or something, right? Or if
It's
you
the
had-
same as a dormant virus. Oh, I had horrible chicken pox, but
Really?
this and so what?
That's so crazy.
It was
man.
crazy.
It's
I
such a
thought they
crazy
were
disease.
weird little spider bites, and I thought maybe my kidneys were failing. But when I literally was back in a hotel for the first night after 9 days, and my body just relaxing. Then about 3 a.m., I woke up crazy fever. My body had held on for 3 to 4 days with shingles, and it just kept going. It wasn't until I was in a safe place. It was like, okay, we can let go now.
Let it go. We gotta
right.
Get this
and
out.
I was like, good job, little buddy.
No,
and it was just
I think
amazing.
that there's something to that because I've been dealing with this shoulder injury, and it's so funny because when I'm ready to take the next step, I'm all of a sudden it'll like start feeling well.
Yeah.
Like I scheduled an MRI. Like I didn't want to spend the money on it. I was like, I'm just going to go to physical therapy. I've done well with that. Scheduled the MRI, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm feeling a little bit better. Like it's so strange,
it
you
is,
know?
yeah.
And then it comes and goes, but it's like, sometimes it's just, I don't know. I think you can mentally work through injuries and listen to your body. Like for me, what's helped me the most with this is stretching.
Yeah.
Like wherever you're feeling your, like I think that's helped the most.
I found, so my surgeon up in Edwards, Richard Cunningham, by the way, I cannot recommend him enough, who did my hip long ago. Luckily, he was the doctor on call. He has put this Humpty Dumpty back together again for like 14 years now. But he is a man that I trust so much because he's not pro-surgery. And he deals from athletes all around the world. And they want to get us, they don't just want us walking, they want us excelling in whatever we love to do in this Colorado lifestyle. But he's also like, let's look at every way that we can work this with physical therapy, with different things to get you where you want to be. And I appreciate that relationship so much.
I'm so lucky too. I got a great doc like that too. Shout out to Doc Castro because the last thing I want to do is take any prescription drugs or have any sort of surgery. Like that's my own personal thing. I just want to try to do it free, clear, and clean as I can. And
you got to listen to your body on that too. I've got a labral tear in my hip right now, and it's from the accident from so long ago. I have all this scar tissue, and it's just, I can't believe I've gone this far without
That's amazing.
More issues. But we found out about it a year ago, January, and I was approaching the North Pole. We got the MRI, and I can either like, well, what you need is either this labral reconstructive surgery and femur reshaping, or, and it will take 6 to 8 months to recover, or arthritis is going to grow and you'll eventually have to have a hip replacement. And I was like, okay, can we push this until after the North Pole last year? They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. Well, the North Pole it didn't go. So I'm like, can we push this another year? And they're like, yeah, but they're like, you can't run. And so we're working on it, right? So we're working on it. And now actually I'm to the point where you got to listen to your body too. I'm like, so let me get this right. If I have this reconstructive surgery that's going to take me down forever, then I probably won't have to have a hip replacement. But I know a lot of people in Edward and up in Vail that have hip replacements, and
I'm about prolonging it as long as you can because technology is only getting better.
Right? Thank you.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna make a labral tear a cool new thing.
And I don't want to go under the knife. Like just fucking, I don't want to be cut open. Like
I have so much more stuff. Like I want to. Like I've been asked to lead a Kilimanjaro trip in September, and I'm like, well, I can't do that if I'm down.
Well, it's crazy too. Like I don't just trust any doctor. Like I sought out my doctor. He works with pro athletes. He's a physical specimen himself. I mean, the guy's built like a brick shit house. And it's just fucking the man. He listens to me, It's like
it's a partnership.
I think that's a big thing, and I think if you don't seek that out right away, doctors are like, "Oh, the laptop says you need X, Y, and Z," and I've seen it happen to so many people, family members, people with cancer.
Oh yeah.
Like we've had just an amazing year. We've been off to an amazing start with the podcast, and I've got to talk to so many amazing people, whether it's neurophysiology and people that are taking these different approaches. Like we had this kid, Casey Weston, on the podcast. You should go and listen to that if you have 3.5 hours to listen. But he's had a brain tumor.
Oh my God.
3 months to live. After they took it out, it was the size of a lacrosse ball that grew in between his brain. But not only that, this guy was a machine gunner on a super stallion. I forget the the technical term,
Yeah.
but it's a huge personnel helicopter in the
Wow.
Marine Corps, like crazy combat. Then post that, he's being told that he's crazy. The VA's telling him he's crazy, but meanwhile, it's because the brain tissue is like being pushed out from this tumor that's growing inside of his brain. So what does he do? He goes and joins. This is a kid that just grew up with this crazy lifestyle. He's been chasing death his whole life.
Yeah. Wow.
Like a way he never wanted to do it himself, but he wanted to die basically. So he enlisted in the Marine Corps, sought out combat as much as he could. Then after that, he decides he's going to be in an outlaw motorcycle gang. He joins the Mongols and
that's
and
the natural
excels at that,
natural
right?
next step, right?
Yeah. So when they tell him like, "Hey, you need chemo radiation," he's like,
Bring it.
"I've been through everything." He's like, "I'm not doing it. I'm ready to die. Like, fuck you." But also, he's a fighter. Like he refuses. So like the methylene blue and the hyperbaric chambers and like just taking this totally different approach. And that was in 2022 that they gave him that diagnosis. So I think it's about listening to your body.
It is.
And I think it's about using your mind and what you think is going to help you more than anything when it comes to, like, I'm no doctor, so I can't give medical advice first off. But I think there's something to that.
There's a lot to actually, we I think in our society, and especially in we've been taught to ignore our instinct. And that's something that actually my mom taught me to hone in on my whole life, is like, trust your gut. So it is very, very powerful. And I'll tell you, most of the decisions I made is on a lot of research, a lot of data gathering. I need that. But then then it will be an instinct choice of where my stomach starts to get sick or it doesn't. And I have very, very rarely regretted anything that I've done that I went with it. The only regrets I really have are the times that I went against my gut. And and you learn that. And it's like this surgery too. And they're working with me. Like, how are we going to keep doing this?
If you look at the science of it, that's a real thing. Like your brain is connected to your gut microbiome to naturally make you feel sick so you don't continue to go down that path. Like, it's crazy. I
have that because I was taught to I guess grow that that skill, which I'm very thankful for, because to the day, like this tear, I thought I was going to get the surgery as soon as I came back from the North Pole, but my gut's being like, I think you should ride this out. So I'm going to go get another MRI and just be like, better we're same. Where are we sitting, doc?
Yeah.
What do we think as a team?
Have you thought about peptides? Or I ask this on every podcast. I'm talking
I love
about
that you said that. Everyone has been, I
nauseam.
need to get on the peptides, because I have been, several people have talked to me about this, just because, again, getting older and when you're still an athlete and injuries, I've heard the best results are happening right now. So I don't know, you got a peptide
Maybe
pusher?
we'll go together.
Okay. Okay.
No, I'm just not 100% with the shoulder, but I'm feeling a calling to go towards them. Yeah. I know so many professional athletes that swear by them. Yeah. I know former professional athletes that have put their body through crazy, crazy shit, like car crashes. Yeah. You know, what they were doing athletically. And they said that has been a game changer. And then hormone replacement, which I'm already on that train. But
I am too.
Yeah. I mean, why not, man?
Why not?
Like, as far as technologies come, like, I'm looking for mileage. That's what I want. I want to be able, and not only mileage, I want to be able to perform with high mileage, right?
Why not continue to live our best lives possible?
Yeah.
I love it. Let's go peptide
and if
it
that's
up.
through modern medicine, but I'm also looking at it as like, these are natural things that are growing in your body already. Yeah. Just as you in age, all those things start to deteriorate. Mm-hmm. So if you can replace them, you're just prolonging life. Yeah. It is the fountain of youth. I mean,
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with all
But then it's also, I think a ton of it comes down to diet and staying away from preservatives, and like that sort of stuff is not meant to be in the human body. Like, I notice a huge difference cognitively when I eat. I take brain supplements, you know, that are natural supplements that have all kinds of different vitamins and certain types of mushrooms and stuff like that. But also, I have kind of a ritual before I do the podcast, because I want to be cognitively sharp in here. I want to know what I'm what I'm thinking about. I want to be on my best
Yeah.
game, right? Like I take this very serious. Even though it's a podcast hangout, I do take it serious. So I try to come in here fasted because I know that my brain works better. And it's been fun. Like
knowing your body. You know your body. Yeah.
And then if I eat carbs, I get like this brain fog. Like it makes my dyslexia even worse. Like I have trouble concentrating. It makes ADHD worse. Like it
does.
It makes everything. So I'm a big fan of like, start with your diet, start with exercising your body, like go to a professional that knows how to rehab these muscles or strengthen these muscles.
Yes.
Like start there.
Yeah.
Then start layering that other stuff on top of it if that doesn't help you. So that's always my approach with everything.
I totally
And it's
agree.
a slow approach.
Well, and and I was going to say, you have to have patience because a lot of times when you get an injury too, people forget that it probably took over. That injury might have been building for a year, and your body compensates. So now, when you get something fixed, you have to unwind everything you did. And a lot of times, if you actually do have a surgery or you finally fix something, you've got to now undo all the other muscles that were compensating for it. It takes time, and it can get frustrated, but it also is the proper way to do things, and taking care of your body and allowing yourself to recover. Yeah. So again, these things, just as you get older, you 20-year-olds, you don't have to worry about it anymore. But
So I think one thing that's interesting that you brought up a few minutes ago is you said that you're just like built genetically. Have they done any DNA tests like against mountaineers? Like that would be something interesting to do.
Yeah, they do. Again, they do a lot of studies in Montana on it and what's going. And you think about different athletes, cyclists, or their VO2, and so there's all sorts of studies that go on for sure, and it is pretty darn fascinating. And a lot of it is just your bodies process the altitude better than others, and I think it's nature versus nurture kind of thing too. Well, what if you were raised at sea level? Well, you could still naturally have
that
this
was
ability.
My next question for you is like, where did you grow up here in Colorado? Or?
Yeah, a little kid. I was born or raised in Southern California till 6th grade, and then I moved to Woodland Park, which is like 8,500 feet. So
beautiful spot.
Yeah.
I was just there this week actually.
Oh,
so,
Donut Mill and the Dinosaur Museum.
Yeah,
2 great things.
Yeah. I guess we were in Manitou. We didn't actually make it to Woodland Park, but the old Penny Arcade. That place is so badass. Have you ever been there?
Oh, we used to go
I know
down
you've
there.
been there, but have you ever been there, Gabby? You and Ashton got to go. It's it's a throwback. If you were a kid in the 80s, which you weren't, but they have video games like the original Donkey Kong, the original like off-road. So like I was like a kid in the candy store. I was grabbing my kids and be like, come over here. We are all playing this game at least 2 times. Like, this is what I get for bringing you here.
Yeah.
Like, so we're playing the off-road and they're like, Dad, this is kind of fun. Like the 3-truck steering wheel one, like so
fun.
badass. Yeah.
So fun.
Classic Nintendo games.
Oh my gosh. We used to go down there all the time.
Galaga, all the stuff.
Junior high and high school. And then you'd be like, there was always the rumors about all the devil worshippers down there. And we go freak each other out.
At the arcade?
Oh, well, just anywhere in Manitou. It was like supposed to be this vortex of devil energy. High school, we're just, I don't even know what the hell it was. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, like the witch caves or whatever.
Right, I know.
No, we had the same thing going on here. And somebody saw an alien over there or whatever. But
yeah.
Crazy. Wild. Yeah, Colorado kids, I believe that they grow up different.
I love it. I love I remember the first time. Well, and my family was so cerebral. Like my dad was a Rhodes Scholar to MIT. Like brilliant, stupid brilliant. He got his undergrad in physics and then master's in electrical engineering. And I remember I did an internship at his company where he worked one summer in college, and people would come in and be like, you do know your dad's the smartest man alive. I'm like, yes, I'm aware. But it was also just he was super sweet and super caring. And I'm really thankful for him encouraging me with my learning disability and always helping me with things. And my mom taught me incredible strength, and really, my mom suffered no fools. And my mom, she spoke up for me and defended me, but she taught me as I got older that I had to stick up for myself. Mm-hmm. And she taught me a lot of strength. But So we were always doing like chemistry experiments and blowing things up. And
Yes.
then, but I remember, but he loved the outdoors. So we would go hiking, but then he'd pull out of his backpack. He had like plaster of Paris type of stuff. And
casting.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
there was a bear track. And he's like, and so we grabbed the bear track. As a kid, how cool was that?
That's
and then I
badass.
took it into show and tell. I'm like, this is a bear print. And
That I found.
yeah.
That's so
and
cool.
it was just really fun. So we're always exploring in the outdoors and building stuff outdoors. And yeah, it's a great way to grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, I'm so fortunate. I mean, that's why I moved back here, you know?
Yeah.
I left here at 18. This was the worst place in the world, you know, because
Yeah.
I was never going to make it, and had this crazy rock and roll career and lived in Hermosa Beach for close to 20 years. But I wasn't really living there. I was like there
Yeah.
like
Your,
maybe 6 weeks out of the year.
your stuff
and I
lived
was
there.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I basically paid for an
Yeah.
apartment or a room, whether I had roommates or whatever. But it was awesome. Anytime I came home, it was like I was on vacation again, you know,
Yeah.
because I always lived like a block off the water.
You're
or
like,
something.
oh,
Yeah.
live at the beach.
My
this
roommates
is cool.
love me. They're like, the
Yeah.
rent just keeps coming. He's never here, right?
Yeah.
So-
I think I had that gypsy life too for a
Yeah.
while. Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
But it took me having kids to realize, like, God, you know, the dirt, you know, like just the dirt here is different. Like it just felt like home.
Yeah.
My family's deeply rooted here. They're all from here, like homesteaded here. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
The lineage and elk hunting. And just, I started thinking about all the stuff and all the adversity that I faced as a kid with dyslexia, with a learning disability, and how much I excelled at other things, whether it was art or my creativity. I've always been creative, or whether
Yeah.
it was making money or being an entrepreneur, or like, even though I had this hurdle, I excelled in other spots. And I think that there's something to that. And I think
Yeah.
it's been scientifically proven, and I want to go down this road with you. And that's why I've been kind of saving it here for a minute, because I've struggled with dyslexia my whole life.
Yeah.
I have a child now that is.
Yeah.
It's
know.
in my family.
I mean, congratulations.
Gabby's one as
Woohoo,
well too.
I
Not to
know.
put you on blast.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love
I
it.
got 2 of them, so
You know,
I'm rocking and rolling.
it runs in the family, but it's like the family members that have it are so successful. I think it's like the stigma, or it was when I was growing up. Like, what year did you graduate high school?
92.
Okay, I graduated in 98, so we're not
Okay.
that far apart. It was a horrible experience for me in school.
Yeah.
Horrible, because I don't think they knew much about it or how to actually help somebody that had dyslexia. You were
Correct.
just kind of rolled into the dumb kid class. Not the dumb, I shouldn't even say that.
No, but
Into
that's
the
what it was at the
specials
time.
class. Like I was in
Yeah.
there with kids that can control bowel movements.
Yes.
Right? Like trying to learn.
Yeah.
So then you're in that environment and you don't feel like you should be there. And then you're labeled kind of as being part of that in that class,
Mm-hmm.
right? That taught me so much in there, and I fist fought so much
Yeah.
because of that, defending those kids that were in there, because I was with them all day.
Yeah.
Unless it was math, because every other subject you have to read in, and even in math I had trouble.
Yeah.
Right? Because once you start getting into algebra and these other things, you have to read everything, and like reading out loud was one of my biggest fears. And it's still something that I still suck at, and it's on my to-do list to conquer, but I don't really care about it.
No, it gives you,
You know-
instant panic. You're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So like that was crazy. And then it got to the point when I was in school, they wanted, because I was part of that group, then when I got to like junior high and stuff, which it was before it was middle school,
yeah, right.
they were like, we want to put you in the same physical education. I was like, I don't have any sort of handicaps in
Yeah.
phys ed. Like I'm
Yeah.
ready to go,
Yeah.
you know? And so that was, I just think it's different now. Like now my daughter has it. She dances ballet at a very high level.
Mm-hmm.
She's crazy artist. She makes all kinds of stuff. She's got her own little business going. She's very much like me. Like I had businesses when I was a kid, whether it was selling bootleg candy or drugs, right? Like she's just taking a different approach with it.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Yeah, which is really good. But she's so creative and so driven and works her ass off in school.
Yeah.
To overcome that. But she's got a 501c3. It's like now there's like a state mandated thing that teachers, or a protocol that teachers have to, she can check out if something's too much, or we can take different approaches. Like she needs a tutor and the school will help pay for that. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the, and again, with the dyslexia, do we remember numbers correctly? No, we don't.
No.
It's like a 504 or it's a lot of them have these things in place.
I'm thinking of nonprofits.
No, you're thinking of nonprofit. I know.
Yeah, it's a 504
but I'm like, really?
or
How old
something.
is she? That's amazing.
Yeah.
No, but first of all, what's good now is, first of all, we were lucky to get diagnosed at the time. And I was diagnosed because, again, I had a teacher who was verbally abusing me and calling me an idiot and retarded and dumb and sitting me in the corner. He was not, that's a good story. He was not a good man, and he didn't like me because I wouldn't sit on his lap to go over test grades.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm the lucky one. I was only verbally abused. I wasn't physically abused like other people, and he ended up going to jail. So,
Holy shit.
so anyway, but I was such an inquisitive, energetic child, and my mom noticed. I shut down what it was. I refused to read. I stopped reading. And my mom's like, what the heck is happening? So yeah, went to the doctors and it was we're so sorry, Miss Buchanan, your child is dyslexic. She won't achieve much academically. And I remember my mom did not cuss, but I remember the look in her eye that was like, fuck off. And she sat me down, second grade, and she was like, sweetheart, you can be anything you want to be. You are just going to have to work harder than everybody else. And that starts today in this house. And that's all I knew. And so what you're talking about is why neurodivergent kids grow up into successful adults is exactly part of grit. Dyslexia gave me grit. Dyslexia taught me to fail and get back up, fail, because all we did was fail. We failed a lot. I was lucky enough where, I remember my like I said, my family's very, very intelligent, and my brother was in a gifted school, and it was time for third grade and me to go into it. And they're like, no, we're sorry. She didn't test high enough. And my mom was like, what the heck? So she had me verbally tested IQ. And guess what? 165, genius. So they're like, oh, she can come in. So I'm a smart person. We're all smart. So I would
Obviously, you're a fucking rocket scientist. I shouldn't say that. Not a fucking rocket scientist. You are a rocket scientist.
I went to school. I paid attention. And I got great grades because I learned it. It wasn't a lot applied. It wasn't that difficult. But where it caught me was college because I could not keep up with the reading. And no one really knew in high school that I was dyslexic. Like I was saying, I hid it. I didn't want anyone to know because I didn't want anyone to judge me. So then in college, it ate me up. I ended up having to go on academic probation. I fell below like the C average, and I had to take a year off.
Are there any exceptions for college kids?
There are now tons of them.
Really? Okay.
But at the time too, to get accommodation, I had to be retested by the university, which costs money, which I didn't have. And then it was like 2 weeks of testing that makes you feel like an idiot. And I was still denying who I was. So I'm like, I'm not doing this. And then I failed out of school. And then I was like, I guess I need to face this. I took a year off and I was like, no, I'm going back. I want this. So my parents, we got the money together. We did the testing. Oh, you're dyslexic. No shit. So then I got untimed testing. But I'll tell you, it's interesting. The School of Engineering, you still have so many people that don't understand what dyslexia is. And I had all of these.
It varies too, right?
So spectrum.
People experience it differently, right?
Very
some
differently.
people see letters and numbers backwards. I don't.
Yeah.
I just don't retain.
I don't retain.
I don't retain
flipped.
anything that I've read. So I have to read shit twice, basically.
Or 5 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I couldn't. So but my professors also, probably because I'm female and I'm very bubbly and happy. I remember one teacher just being like, I don't buy this dyslexia shit. Like, you just don't, you're just lazy. You just think you can bat your cute eyelashes at me and get a good grade. Not in my class, lady. I'm like, oh shit. So that was a big lesson for me in advocating for myself. For my mom's like, you're going to have to go and get an advocate. Like you go to the dean's office, find someone. And so, yeah, I found someone who his daughter was dyslexic, one of the deans. I had myself an advocate. So so you learn when someone shuts you down, how do you get around? How do you keep moving forward? We've heard no so many times. How do you get that yes? And that is such an amazing skill to learn growing up. So that's why at the age that we're at and being successful, I remember like kids, their first job, all of us young execs, they would melt down if something didn't go their way. I was so beyond that. I was so used to things not going my way. Like I'm like, well, no, we got to find, if the door's shut, we find a window.
We are problem solvers.
We are problem solvers. And that has made me very successful in engineering, where I don't like sitting and like sitting in the cubicle working on the one thing and the detail. I am a big picture person, and I'm able to go in and be like, well, why are we still doing it that way? Why don't we do this? Why don't we do this?
100%.
So,
like I have the same thing. It's just on the rock and roll side.
Yeah.
Which is not nearly
Music
what you
is
guys
math.
do.
Music is math.
Well, rigging. Like trying to hang something from bridles and beams and you're in a different building every day, like the math that's required for that. And just, hydraulic engineering. It's a lot. It's funny because the guy that taught me everything I know about hydraulics, his dad was some huge guy in aerospace.
Yeah.
So he'd be like, I'd be home from a tour and he'd be like, hey, are you busy today? And I'm like, no. He's like, I'm going to Northrop Grumman. And he's like, I need some help down there or whatever. I'd be like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And we'd show up and it'd be two rock and rollers talking to guys in like scientist coasts.
Awesome.
With pocket protectors.
Yeah.
And like the full nine, you know?
Yeah.
And like me and Ted there, you know, like waking up from a hangover, fixing a hydraulic, thing that lifted a deal into a wind tunnel or something like that. So yeah, I mean, along those lines, I guess. But I really excelled at solving problems and solving them fast because that's what you have to do if you're a dyslexic person. Is you have to work around it.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that is what makes someone successful as well, because there is such a fear of failure and a fear of embarrassment and a fear of not knowing. We lived through all of that. We already got over all of that. Like it's just not a thing. Like, well, this may or may not work. We'll figure it out. I mean, what do you want me to do?
Or if it's failed, I mean, like you said, we've failed so many times. It's like, well, fuck, time to start over.
I know, right? Yeah.
Let's go.
It is. Yeah. And that's it's so important. I do keynote talks to everything, corporations, groups, but I really love talking to still youth. And, or actually I did a dyslexia symposium for Montana State University, all of these college kids and they're in such a different place because we're trying to change the narrative from I'm so sorry to, oh, your kid is dyslexic, congratulations, because you're going to have a badass kid. Yeah. Like they're going to be an entrepreneur. And we've got to start changing that messaging. But I love talking to kids with that positivity, but also not sugarcoating this. Be like, so here's the deal. This is going to suck. You are going to hate yourself many days. You are going to feel so embarrassed. You're going to feel like an idiot. But I'm here to tell you that you will make it through. You just have to be willing to get back up again. And I'll make them say with me, I'm going to fail, and then I'll get back up. And just have them start talking about it. And what I used to be so embarrassed about, now I so openly share, like, let me tell you how many times I had to take calculus too. and just to let them know that even though you are going to face this, it inevitably, you are going to feel horrible about yourself. There is life after, and you can be successful, and you can be happy, and you can do anything you want to do. And it's just more and more of that mentorship. And it's not just dyslexia or neurodivergence. I think just every human needs this. We all have something as a kid that's affected us. Adults need mentors.
It's so common now too. Whether you have AD, there's so many things that it gets blanketed under learning disabilities. Like,
it's learning differences. Learning differences. Yeah. Yes.
Learning differences.
Yeah, we just learn differently. I mean.
Yeah. I've totally stifled mine. Like, not many people know. I think this is the first time I've talked about it publicly. Yeah.
I know, because
I'm pretty
all
sure.
the cool kids, all the cool kids.
I always keep it a secret because I don't want to feel.
I used to.
Yeah. I guess some of my friends know.
Well, it also
people know that
triggers.
I text message with.
Oh
That's
God,
for sure.
it's
but
hilarious.
Thank God
yeah.
for autocorrect and stuff. And
Yeah.
I've just worked through it. I've just worked
Of
around
course
it.
you
Like
did.
I have, I send emails all the time for
Yeah.
this. I get emails back and forth. And I don't care if I misspell something. Like people will call it like we actually released a podcast last week and I misspelled something on the Instagram post.
Yeah.
But God, thank God I have so many awesome friends that
Yeah.
were like, hey dude, there's a typo in here. I was like, oh, thank you
like
so
you.
much. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you, my little sister is one of my biggest advocates, and she is one of those people that she loves reading the newspaper to find mistakes. Like, oh, God bless, love and light, girl. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know. So my whole life has been so amazing. Like, there's some days, and you know how when you're extra tired, it just gets so bad, and I'll call her and be like, oh my God, how do you spell the word said? I cannot freaking, and she'll tell me and I'll be like, that is stupid. And then, but she helps me. And like, so forget Everest, forget all these mountains. One of the most difficult things that I am in the tail end of right now is I took the last year to write my book on grit, Choose to Rise.
Amazing.
It has been horrific. It has been, it has brought up so much. And I've thought that I've worked through so many things with really accepting who I am. It brought a whole sub-level that I didn't even know was there. Yeah. So that's a good thing. But what it did is, and this is something anyone can relate to, I was actually having to go back and write what happened in second grade with this teacher and how it made me feel and just schooling, where we all convince ourselves of a narrative that's a lot less than it was, because we need to move on and survive, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're like, oh no, it wasn't that bad. Yeah, I struggled, but I was great. I actually, when I started writing it, I really was laying out all these facts and I had kind of forgotten about some things. And I called my mom, well, did this happen? She's like, oh girl, this is what happened. I was like, what? And it made me, I had pushed it way down, but it really made me relive it. And I would end up just crying this past year. And then I had to push away the book for like 3 weeks. It made me so sick to my stomach. Mm-hmm. But it also helped me like work through it. And whoever you are, it doesn't have to be dyslexia. We all give ourselves a narrative of something that's happened to make it more palatable. It has been amazing to work through all of that to where it's so much more, I don't even know how to describe this. I am at a whole nother level of acceptance of who I truly am. And for the first time, I actually give myself a lot more credit than I used to of like, you know what? That's pretty freaking tough. And I would always, oh no, it wasn't that bad. I'm like, no, it was bad. And I made it through. And I'm really proud of that. And I really want to help kids really love who they are now, not have to wait till their 40s to dig it up, to love who that person is.
That's amazing.
And it's been great. And I'm in the editing process. I can't wait for this to be done. I know what the second book will be. I'm going to get a ghostwriter. I'll never do this. I'll get a co-writer.
I mean, ChatGPT and all that other stuff that's out there now,
Yeah,
like,
but seriously. I want to make it an audiobook. And I told my sister, because we sound the same, I'm like, you're reading that audiobook. I'm like reading. I will have to redo so many takes on that. I'm like, girl, you just read it. And she's like, okay.
I still struggle here, like trying to read aloud, like when I'm under pressure and I'm trying to think of, but I've gotten, like you just said, that self-reflection. I've gotten that from this podcast because I want to be as real and genuine as possible is like rule number one, right? Like don't lie. That should just be, that's a golden rule number one. That should be in everybody's human life aspirations, right? That's number one, which is easy for me to do because I'm brutally honest. Like ask my friends, ask my family, I'm just that brutally honest guy. But then second is to be genuine and really share my experiences. And three is to listen. Well, listen is actually number one. That's my hardest one to do is like just listen to people. I've found is the best way to have a conversation. But it's crazy. I'll have people in here and they start telling their perspective or how they grew up, and then it triggers something that I've totally forgot about in my past.
Right? Oh my gosh.
Right? Because your brain only stores so much
Yeah,
information,
yeah.
but it's like cataloged back there somewhere. It's like, holy shit, I didn't even realize.
Yeah.
Or it's crazy how many times I've had a guest that we have similar backgrounds or grew up similar childhoods. Like I found this commonality in a lot of the special forces guys that I have in.
Yeah.
That they grew up fatherless, like their moms raised them.
Wow.
And they performed at like the highest level in the military, like or the most savage when it comes to hunting man, right? Like that was their job. And like 90% of them that I know, if not more, grew up without fathers. And then there's also a commonality in fighters that grew up without dads.
Yeah.
So like mothers raised just badass
and
boys.
These men, like they become the father they always wanted, or
I think it's partially because you have to grow up faster.
Yeah.
You have to be that protector, you have to be that provider. Then that's ingrained in you.
Yeah.
It becomes kind of natural. And not only did they grow up without a dad, they had other male influences where they felt like they needed to protect other family members.
That's the big thing right there.
Or whatever,
protect their mother, protect their sisters, protect little brothers.
So
or
it just builds you like it implants being a guardian, I guess, right? Or that true guardianship. I don't even know if that's a word.
It is now.
Okay.
I make up words all the time.
No, I do too. And I get called out on it all the time. Don't read the YouTube comments. But I think that there's so many similarities that I found out sitting right here at this table. So I was super stoked to have you in today.
Oh,
go down this road.
Little dyslexic kids together.
Yes, I couldn't wait. I mean, I've been waiting. What, a year and a half we've been talking probably, I think.
My God, I don't even know.
Or maybe even longer.
Who knows?
Yeah, you're so
I'm
busy.
in a time warp right now.
You're in one in here too.
Yeah.
Like, believe it or not, we've been at this over an hour and a half.
Oh.
And if you have a little bit more time, I'd love to pick your brain on a few more things.
Yeah, I mean, let's do it.
Okay, cool.
I like it. I might need a pause. I got
Let's
I need
do
a
that right
break.
now. And when we come back, I want to dive into dyslexia, but then pushing through that, going through college into your career. If you're not checking out the Mountainside podcast on YouTube, you absolutely should be. If you like the content that we create here and you want to help support the podcast, please take a moment, subscribe to us on YouTube, and hit that notification bell.
I love that. As soon as I'm done the book, I have to be done with this goddamn book. But then my next project is I want to do a podcast too called Grit and Choose a Rise. And I'll have you on it. I'll have you on it.
Let's go.
Be fun. I know. I love swapping podcasts. Like you be on mine, I'll be on yours.
And that's what it's all about. Like
I
I've gotten so much love from the community, whether it's been Rogan or Cameron Haynes. Like there's just so many people that like the podcast community is fucking great. So you should totally. You've got to have
this guy. Cheers. One of my.
Are we back? Did it go off? I told you,
One of my North Pole teammates, this guy Matt Dawson, he does Dawson's Peak, and he's breaking 7 world records. This guy's a fucking beast. He just looks like an action hero. He's such a badass. He was one of the people that went through. Eric Larson is crested to be one of the top polar explorers, but the 3 of us were the 3 Americans that went through Russia last year, but I wasn't detained. He was detained because like, how long have you been a soldier of fortune? You're a mercenary. He's like, nope, shit, really? I'm not, but he looks like one.
Right.
And we walk around and girls are just like, oh, are you a movie? But he's such a badass. And he just published his book. And it's Strength and Surrender. He would be an amazing guest for you. Sure. He's out of California. I don't know if you ever do. Do you do?
We do
Zoom
everything
ones?
In person, but
I'll ask him if he's ever come. He has a standing invite to come anytime in Colorado. He's just so busy. But anyway, he's a really
We've recorded in San Diego. We've recorded in San Francisco.
Okay, he's in Sunset
we've done
Boulevard type of.
Oh,
LA.
okay.
I know.
Yeah, I'm in LA occasionally, so once or twice a year.
Pull him up. Pull up Matt Dawson, Dawson's Peak. This dude is he is a beast. I love him.
Awesome.
And and it'd be great to have him because he just has his book out And he's really fascinating to talk to about the yin and yang of the masculine, feminine. And he doesn't mean male, female.
Is that the right Matt Dawson? I don't
Nope.
think so.
Dawson's Peak. Oh, it's down there.
Okay.
Go to images, maybe.
Dawson's Peak.
Yeah. Dawson's Peak. There we go.
Should I go on his Instagram?
Yeah, either or it's or the homepage.
Oh.
But yeah, we were just texting today because our trip just got freaking canceled. But
he was supposed to go with you.
Oh
then.
yeah, he's on my
Okay.
team. And
That's
then my buddy
awesome.
George Pesic, he's a badass. He's here. Yeah, he is a fascinating, really good dude.
Well, I'd love to have him on.
Yeah.
This is called the Mountainside for
There
a
we
reason.
go.
So let's go. Yeah,
I met
no.
him down in Antarctica, and then
Okay.
so we're on teams. We're just
Yeah,
been friends.
we'll
a long time,
definitely
but-
have to link up because I'm in LA occasionally. So
Okay, cool, yeah. Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
got all sorts of good people.
It's always
listening.
harder to do these on the road, but I enjoy doing that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we
Yeah.
make a special trip, I have some people in that area that I need to go re-record with because
Perfect.
I'd love to welcome you to the community. What I like to do is I'm trying to do the philosophy or to kind of build a bit more of a community. So
Yeah.
like that's why I was talking about introducing you to Lisa because I'm sure that you guys
I
have
love
so
it.
much cool shit
Yeah.
that you could talk about. Like you guys should record a podcast together.
I would
Yeah.
love it. Yeah.
She's awesome. But I want to have guests on more than once. Like I want to build friendships. So I'm very particular who comes in here and how I kind
Yeah.
of vet them because I have so many people reaching out now that's got to kind of fit the mold. And it's like, if you can fit and talk to the rest of the team or we have mutual friends, like
Yeah.
it makes sense.
No,
you know?
and I love it. And actually, it is really fun once in a while when you do a couple people still. And then it is just more like a group of people hanging out, having
Yeah.
a drink, and talking about really cool shit.
Absolutely. I'm glad we decided to drink.
Me too.
All right, here we
I'm
go.
always a big fan. I don't know if I'm sponsored by a vineyard.
Let's go.
Like,
Yeah.
I am. So I take a bottle of wine on every summit.
Okay.
And so right now
That's
it's a
badass.
Napa vineyard called Seven Apart, and they so I'm not totally usually I take a full bottle, but on Everest they made me a baby one because I'm not totally crazy
Okay.
because any extra weight you can't take a full bottle, so I
Yeah.
took a little baby bottle, top of Everest. I got a picture, so
That's badass.
I know. So I drink.
I got somebody for you too
Oh.
in the community. Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, we'll talk after this.
I love it.
Yeah, he's a badass. He could probably actually make you a mountaineering knife too. So
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
he's
is it
awesome.
the same guy that
That made
Nard?
Jason?
Yeah,
I think he made him a boning knife or something like that.
he was telling me about a guy who's a knife maker that Alice Springs, or where's he at?
No, he's actually out of San Diego, but it's half face blades. So
Okay.
we talk about him at nauseam.
I would like.
but-
I want a knife.
Yeah. Well, he's got his own wine label too. He grew up in Napa, and it's called Warpaw Wines, and it's really good. We should
he's-
have some of it.
If he's
here,
in
but
San Diego, he's not Temecula, is he?
no,
Okay, thank God.
no, this guy's a former SEAL, and yeah, the company is just outside of Miramar, the base.
Okay, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, so actually, he just moved to a new shop. But anyways, yeah, check them out. They're amazing. So right before the break, we were on dyslexia and how it affected all of us, and then we got a little sidebar. I guess for me, like, I just kind of gave up. I was just like, I'm not going to be good at reading and writing, and I wish I would have paid a little bit more attention to it and practice a little bit more because I think I could have worked through it. But then again, I don't know because
Yeah.
I was kind of at that technological age where I grew up without email for the longest time. Like
Yeah.
everything was paper filed. Like I remember putting a floppy disk into a computer.
Yeah. I didn't have email till
playing
college.
like the
Yeah.
Oregon Trail and like, you know, like Nokia before texting, like all that sort of shit. So as technology has come along, I utilize the shit out of spell correct and Siri, and now Chat GPT is a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And I think dyslexic people can really benefit from this day and age because what I found from AI, just using it a little bit that we do for the podcast, is it's all about the prompting. Like it still needs a human element to prompt it to do the right things. So if you have a creative mind, you can you can steer it pretty well to write
Yeah.
whatever you want. You do have to go in and correct a lot of things with it. It's not quite there all the way.
There are so many more accommodations and tools available now.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like we were just talking when we were young and diagnosed, it was like, well, you little idiot, good luck.
Yeah.
mean,
Sorry,
like-
you're stupid. Go
Yeah.
in that line. Yeah.
I think for me, and I attribute everything. Oh, God, I'll get teary. Attribute. Well, that's not the wine. I can't talk about my parents without like tearing up. It was my parents and their belief and their love in me and not allowing me to give up on myself, that I am everything I am. And like I talked about a little, touched on it, they had very different ways of support. And I think there's something about like the different, like fathers and daughters and mothers and sons. I have a special relationship with both, but there is something that for me, especially like I've talked about, my dad was just so brilliant. And even though my brother and sister are not touched by neurodivergence at all. So I always compared myself. My brother and sister never made fun of me. It was very normalized in my home, but I can't help but see the difference. Asking my little sister for help all the time on how to spell. These are things that just, it affects you greatly and deeply, and you're less than.
Oh, I still do it with my kids today. I'm like, how do you spell?
I know, but it just like, it is my parents who kept me believing in myself and wanting to push through. And so for me, deciding in 6th grade, I was homesick and I saw the shuttle explode. And before that, I wanted to be an astronaut or a fighter pilot because that's normal for a little girl. And then,
that's awesome.
And so my dad got home and I'm crying. I was like, oh my God, the shuttle. And so that's the day he really explained to me what aerospace engineering is. And he worked in aerospace, and that was the day I connected it. And he's like, I think that'd be a great job for you. You can design spacecraft so this never happens. And that was the day I decided I'm going to be an aerospace engineer. But part of it, what I didn't realize was I just felt like, oh my gosh.
From the Challenger explosion? Wow.
And
I vividly remember, we were watching it at school, and we watched it, and the teacher was like, oh my God.
You had to have been like little, like I was
in kindergarten.
Yeah, I was like 6th grade. So, yeah.
And they had like this old TV. It was like,
oh my God, roll
a
it out.
13-inch TV or something. We're like, we're going to watch the Challenger take off today, kids. And it was like,
I was so obsessed with the space program, and that happened, and I was devastated. And so, but I just remember that conversation with my dad, and I felt like, I can be like my brother and my sister. I'm normal. And so, I mean, I really studied. I was like top 10% of my high school class. I mean, I studied hard, and it was easy to get through high school. But I think when I got to college, I was so gung-ho about being an aerospace engineer. But looking back, to be honest, I never really enjoyed most of engineering. I am a very, I'm not a neurotypical brain. We're not neurotypical brains. I'm not linear in thought, which so much of engineering is. So it's always been very difficult because also in engineering field, they're like, we don't really know what to do with you. We don't know how to quantify you and how you think of things. I've been able, through my confidence, to be able to work around, and now like I'm the person they put on every troubled project, or because I'm a solution maker. But when I was younger, it was very difficult. I loved doing independent research and development programs for spacecraft survivability. I found out a way to apply these military aircraft techniques to spacecraft, and that it was simple to me, but no one had connected the two. So much, though, that we started publishing some stuff, and the guy, Dr. Bob Ball, who is the godfather of vulnerability, like military aircraft survivability techniques, called me one day, and I thought people were punking me. And he's like, I like what you're doing. I think you should work with the Naval Postgraduate School and me. So we started doing work. I loved that. That was very creative. But it's actually my accident with my leg that it ended up that my whole job was moving to Huntsville, Alabama, after I'd been doing it for years. And I had to make the decision at that point. I either go to Huntsville and I don't think I'll ever get my leg back, or I took a year off of work, and then we figured out I was allergic to titanium, which everything has its place. But what I realized is most engineering, even though, we talked about it, I got kicked out of school on academic probation. I went back. I was so stuck stubborn on, I am going to do this because I was told I can't. And if I'm good enough, I will be an aerospace engineer. I know now it was more about me just being the girl that doesn't give up versus really being the girl that wanted to be an aerospace engineer. And it's easy to look at that now that I just turned 50. Like, I see that. I'm very thankful for the path that I took because I really achieved something and it helps inspire other people. But we don't know that one. We don't have that ability to know that who we really are then. But like you, I hid it. I hid it from everybody. And it wasn't until I started really achieving on a mountain and really achieving big goals there that it gave me the courage to be open at work and with friends, really in my late 30s, early 40s, of like, that I'm actually dyslexic. And then I actually got retested, and that's when we figured out I'm ADHD as well, which I was not diagnosed, but it's pretty easy to, I'm like a Labrador retriever. Like, I have so much energy. Like, I go run it out on Everest. Like, of course I'm ADHD. I'm like, ugh, I just burn energy. And so.
Yeah. How has that affected you in the mountaineering side of stuff? Because a lot of it is technical focus, right? When it comes to climbing and that sort of stuff.
It's great. Well, I'll tell you, like, what's really fun, where you get a little nerdy, is crevasse rescue is all pulley system. And so I was like, I've taken mechanics. I totally know this shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of great stuff, and there's just a lot of physics that go with mountaineering, and everything from, a really steep slope. The more the more surface area you have, the more friction you'll have. If you have a perpendicular, you're going to be able to stick better. So yeah, there's a lot of fun physics with it.
Yeah.
But it really, and it is interesting. So let's say when I'm traveling around the world, going to places, especially through countries that I don't want to know that I work for an aerospace company, we don't even talk about. Hardly anyone even knows what I do in the regular life. They're just like, oh, Meghan, this is Meghan. She's doing the Explorers Grand Slam. Yeah. I know. So it's, there are some, it is fun. There's some really big names in mountaineering that you look up, First Descents, and you've got Ed Viesters, Dave Hahn, you've got Conrad Anker, like all these amazing Goliath of living, breathing mountaineers. And I remember I was in Antarctica and Vincent Base Camp, and my friend Bulks, she's an amazing climber and runner too, but we had gotten in, our ski made us late. Our team was already up on the mountain, so we're just going to hang out until they came back down. All of a sudden this group comes down, and it's like Jared Isaacman, who he's a self-made billionaire, and he was, that dude. So he had hired those guys to be his guides. And all of a sudden, all I know, I'm hanging out at Vincent Base Camp, drinking champagne out of a plastic cup, which it was starting to freeze. That's how cold it is. And these guys, I'm now sipping champagne with them. And Dave Hahn, such a phenomenal mountaineer. And all of a sudden, he's like, "You're the rocket scientist, aren't you?" And I was like, I have made it.
Yes.
I have made it in life. But he's like, we're Facebook friends. I'm like, we are, Dave. We had actually met on Denali. But it was a really cool moment for me. Just with that, just people I respect so much. I'm just honored to be just a part of that world and get to meet the people I do. But with the dyslexia, the fun thing is like now the three of us are like, I mean, it is when you are open about it. I mean, the people come out of the woodworks. They're like, hey, psst, guess what?
Yeah, me too.
I got a little dash of it too. And you're like, of course you do. But I mean, it's,
do you know any of the statistics on like how many kids, like out of 10 kids?
Yeah.
Do you know any of that sort of stuff?
Yeah. So where we're at for neurodivergence, which is the umbrella, a big umbrella of things, it is 20% of the population.
Seriously?
Yeah. So now dyslexia is around solidly like 10%.
Wow.
But 20% of our population, which is a huge chunk. And it is very, there's, I was saying earlier, like there's great foundations all over. I happen to carry a banner for Learning Disabilities Association of America. And they do, a lot of times it's like, oh, let's get kids tested. They go a step further where they even spend money on legislation. They're trying to get laws passed. Do you know in our school system, it isn't mandatory testing for everyone. It's not paid for. You're lucky if you get diagnosed. And so there's a lot of fundraising that's happening just to get every child screened, because it's such a difference. If you know what is going on, that right there will give you the edge. The kids who are not diagnosed, who just grow up thinking they're idiots, that breaks my heart. There's so much accommodation now that is through, and what's happening right now, I hope they get their stuff back together, but a lot of the federal funding in the Department of Education is helping neurodivergent kids. And I'm terrified that that's going to stop. Like that is something huge. When I was in Montana, there were some really rural towns.
Gotta put in a phone call to Elon at SpaceX and see.
Elon, I know.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan, but anyway. But there's like all these rural schools too. First of all, there's no money for kids to get screened. Then there's no money for, you need to educate teachers how to teach better. We were talking about this, but if they're not given, the school system's not given the funding for it, like how are they going to pay for it? And so giving kids accommodations, different things. So there's a whole lot more that we can be doing. 20% of our population.
Wow.
Like we need to be doing something about that.
Is that just the United States or
United
like we don't
States.
even know in the world, right?
Well, and that's the thing, and there'll be people, global population, there you go.
Yeah.
But
That's
here's where
crazy.
stats are skewed though. There are so many countries, they don't have screening capability. So we
Yeah.
don't know. That's like all of a sudden all these kids, it must be the school. No, we just are able to test. We're getting more kids tested. Like it is a part of.
Right. So it could be much higher.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's the same with domestic violence, which is
There you
I've
go.
been a big advocate for that lately, and some nonprofits that are doing amazing stuff with that. And growing up in a domestic violence home, I think that it's like 1 in 3 women will experience domestic violence at some point in their life. But I think it's higher than that because those are those are just the people that have reported it or had interactions with police or whatever, sought out some sort of help for it.
Yeah.
Where it's like kind of kept in the dark. So dyslexia is kind of that same sort of thing. Like I've kept it in the dark. Like not many people
because you
know.
were punished if people knew. You were literally I'm still discriminated against at work. People will try to I had this guy who was like, "So what is your mental illness?" And I was like, "Oh, dude. Yeah, well, I have many, but which one are you talking about?" And it's really, really. Remember, I was dating this guy in college, and he's like, "So explain to." I was sharing with him. Okay, well, I'm dyslexic. I was being very vulnerable. He's like, "But you're in engineering school." I'm like, "I understand that." But he's like, "So let me understand this. So this is a mild retardation?" And he was being serious.
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh my God, I can't." I'm like, "Never mind. I'm not dyslexic. We don't need to talk about it."
Yeah. It's hard to explain. I can't explain. Like people, I think the only correlation that people think about when they first hear that somebody's dyslexic, you see letters and numbers backwards.
There's so many things.
It's so much deeper than that.
It's memory.
Right?
It's
that
cognition.
Would be easy.
It's We were just talking about there are so many studies now about how the neurotypical brain information comes in left side of the brain, and I probably have the left or right switch, but one side of the brain it inputs and then it shuttles over the pertinent information to store and then move off of. The dyslexic brain doesn't shuttle that over. And so we have to have so much repetition, and sometimes it will never cross up. There's certain words we have struggled with our entire lives. We are not.
Yeah.
It's not from lack of trying. I will never know how to spell that word.
Guitar.
Mother.
Yeah.
Guitar.
I still M's and N's like cinnamon. It's so hard. Like there's certain words that the E's and the I's and the B's and the D's. And there are things, like I said, I'll call my sister, "How do you spell this word?" And I'm like, "Who the fuck made that up? That is so stupid." But it is because that cognition, it is different. It doesn't mean we can't get there, and it doesn't have anything to do with our intelligence or our IQ, but it is a different, the neurodiverse brain is just a different way of functioning. So I'll tell you what it's made me in engineering. I am an extremely good project manager because I've had to be. For anyone out there, OneNote is your best friend. I screenshot everything. I save everything. I can refer to, because again, if I switch up numbers in engineering, if I do all these different things, bad. And so I'm so good at organizing the information that I need and storing it. Engineers still to this day have written notebooks that they take notes on. And first of all, even if you have a neurotypical brain, why are you doing that? Yeah. I will bring and I put everything in one note, and then you can search and you can look for things. And I remember someone, this was literally just 2 years ago, be like, Megan, please don't have a computer, and I need to make sure you're paying attention. You can do a notebook. And I just said, I'm like, I'm dyslexic and this is my accommodation. I need to be able to type these things in, so I'll lose it in a notebook. They're like, oh, well, okay. But I'm like, why are you, it's just stupid anyway. But yeah. Anyway, so it's made me a really good project manager from being neurodiverse, because I have to organize things or I can't retain them. But I do a great job by applying tools to help me do my job.
Well, thank you for being so open about it, and thank you for advocating for it. Coming from a family where it runs in the family, basically.
It is, yeah.
And then having my own kid have to suffer from it. It's like the worst thing as a parent, man. It's so... There's so much more that you can do for it now, but I just know the struggles, me personally having it. And unless you've had it, or unless you've experienced it firsthand as a parent or something, you don't understand everything that kids go through.
Yeah.
Having that, just the self-esteem, I think is probably one of the biggest things, or not feeling like you can excel. So it's unbelievable what you've done with your life. Like,
thank you.
It's amazing. And it shows the true grit and just the not quitting.
Not quitting.
And taking, don't take no for an answer either. I'm sure, how many times have you heard no,
What is this word? It sounds French. What
yeah.
is it?
Yeah. No automatically correlates to fuck off, right?
Yeah. I'm like, I'm sorry, who else can I speak to?
Yeah. I need to speak to your manager.
We have, my sister and I have this story, and it's called Primera Clase. I was in Mexico and I bought this skull of a steer with its horns, and it was painted all gorgeous, like the Dios los Muertes. And I was like, I love this thing. And I'm like, and then I was with my boyfriend at the time, and he's like, how are you going to get this home? And I'm like, oh, I'll put it in my backpack. I don't know. So I have my backpack and these horns sticking out.
That's awesome. It's like a longhorn.
Wasn't a longhorn, but it was a regular. But what awesome. It was, I was going through the airport, and I'm a United girl, and I was upgraded first class. And that's when I already knew it. And so I'm like, oh, I'm in first class. I can totally take this on the plane. Yeah. So I'm trying to go through security in Mexico, and they're like, no. And I'm like, no. I'm like, no. Primera Clase. Primera Clase. This woman, we went back and forth, and I knew a little bit of Spanglish. I know Spanglish at that point. And so we're going back and forth, and I would not take no for an answer. I would not take it. So I'm probably talking to her for 25 minutes, and it's holding up the line. I'm being very, very pleasant. But finally, she's literally like, oh my God, you freaking Karen, like, just go. So I put it in the upper thing. It fit great in the overhead. So my sister has this joke now about me that I don't take no for an answer, but she's like, oh, Primera Clase, here we go. So anything that happens, I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Can I speak to someone? And I don't mean it in a bad way. I'm always a positive energy, but I'm like, there's got to be a different solution here. Yeah. But that's what we do, right?
Yeah, we're problem solvers.
And that skull hangs on my wall. I'm very proud of it.
Primera Clase.
Primera Clase.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's hilarious the amount of times that I've heard just like, no, you can't do this or whatever. And like just being insistent on, well, this podcast is proof of that.
I love that.
Yeah.
One for your kid, it's gotta, no matter what it is, it's gotta be, and this is a part of grit. And I recently have done several podcasts that are dyslexia based, especially for kids or helping parents with kids. That's and awesome. Advice and that kind of stuff. And one of the things is it's got to be so painful to watch your child hurt. But and this is why I tell parents so much, I think by not allowing your child to struggle and work through it, you are denying them the ability to build their confidence. You are denying them those skills. And by solving everything for them, you are hurting them in life in the long run. And as much as it hurts, my advice, especially to parents with dyslexic or neurodivergent kids, just all kids, be there and hold their hand. Let them cry and explain to them this is going to be hard. And I am sorry, but you need to keep walking through this. And I will hold your hand while you do it, and you will get to the other side. Again, it's that reinforcement of helping them achieve. And it's like climbing a mountain. It is like one of the things I really with grit, I'm going to start building out really camps for neurodiverse kids where you can start to build your confidence in the outdoors too. Because you talk, like the first time anybody, even an adult is trying to climb Eastern Mountain, no, I can't. You self-sabotage, the negative voices come in, you'll never make it. But to help someone push through it and stand at the top, it's like such a game changer. And I think it's the same for neurodiverse
Those views
kids.
Are unbelievable.
It's and you don't, the only way you get there is by earning it. And isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I love it.
That's the same thing I get from hunting. Like every time you put down your dinner plate, you like earned it, you know? I think it tastes different.
Killed meat and made food for family. That's pretty amazing.
Exactly. Protect and
you
provide.
Provided. Yeah. Back to those basic skills, those core fundamentals, that fills your soul. Core fundamentals for yourself.
100%. Let's end on that note. We got to wrap this up. But real quick, before we do.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
If people, because I know you advocate on a bunch of different levels, and this is the first time that we've been able to spend any time together. So where can people go and find out more? I know you're on the gram.
I'm on the grams.
It's GG.
R-I-T. G-G R-I-T. Yep. Which I do kind of love. I got the trademark. I wanted grit, but regular grit. I mean, so I just enjoy that it's misspelled.
Yeah,
I think it's perfect.
Let's go.
So G-G-R-I-T, gratitude, growth, resilience, integrity, and tenacity. On the grams, that's also my website. And
is it a nonprofit or what are you guys doing there?
I am not nonprofit right now, but I am actually currently in the application process because I do want to start. I donate my time speaking to schools for free, but you can always hire me for amazing keynote speaking. I go through the tools of grit, how you can apply it to everything in your life or your career. Great pictures from amazing expeditions as well, but it's really just how to apply those tools starting today in your life. And whether it's short-term goals, long-term goals, it is teaching you the belief in yourself to keep moving forward and choosing to rise again and again, because that is this life. That is the key to this life.
100%. Do you have a website or anything for this?
I do, yes. Okay. And it's the same thing.
You have merch too, right?
G-G-R-I-T. Well, you know,
what's up with the hats? Why aren't you selling? Are you selling the hats?
Well, I kind of do in some places. Okay. I need to get on my website. So I make an expedition hat for everything I do, and it's always about a savage. So this is Arctic Savage, Grit Savage. I have Everest Savage. So I need to get it up and going soon. I got a lot to do. If I just didn't have this day job.
Savage, and I'll rock it in here.
Mountain Savage,
Make me one.
Yeah. I know. I got a Summit Savage going too.
There you go.
I know. That's a good one.
That's cool. Yeah.
But it's great. And we've got to keep doing this. Let's keep revisiting. Let's
100%. You're welcome back.
I'll tell you, I got something else in the Arctic up next, and that one's going to be crazy.
Okay. Let's just have you back after every trip or in between trips or whenever you want. Like I'd love to have you in. I feel like we barely touched the tip of the iceberg tonight,
many things
or
we
the
could
peak
talk
of the
about.
mountain, right?
You know, us little dyslexic ADHD kids, we have the gift of gab because we learned how to do a little song and dance. Pay no attention to my GPA. Hire me anyway. Da, da.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, no, cheers. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Anything else you want to shout out, book?
No, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Anything else?
The book.
Yeah.
The book I hope will be coming out in June. And it is just meant to really inspire, and I hope something in it triggers and touches you that you can apply and helps get you on your way of embracing your fuller potential. Oh, I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
That'll be awesome. And then if people wanted to reach out to you for a keynote speaking, to visit a school,
Yeah.
whatever.
100%.
Where do they do that at?
Yeah. So, I mean, Instagram, reach out, my website, but really Meghan.
DMs?
DMs are good.
Okay.
But it's Meghan at Meghan with an H, Celtic. Meghan at grit.com is perfect. Yeah.
So you do have a website. It's great.
Oh, you do? Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
We'll have
guys.
you
This has
back
been great.
anytime that you
Oh my
want. It was
gosh.
great getting to know you today. I really enjoyed it. And
Love it.
thanks for all the insight and everything that you're
We
doing.
got Jason Noward in here too. Then we'll have more dyslexics in the room.
Maybe I'll have you
Oh my
on
God.
with Jason.
Then we'll all cry
at some point.
and eat squirrel.
Let's do it. Let's butcher something. Let's go. All right. Thank you, Meghan.
Thanks, guys.
It's been awesome. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks, Gabby. Thanks for listening to the Mountainside Podcast. If you haven't had a chance to do this already, please take a moment, follow, like, subscribe, or rate on whatever platform you catch the Mountainside Podcast at. If you'd like some more information on upcoming episodes, safety tips, access to all of our affiliates, and all the badass discounts that we get here at the Mountainside Podcast, check out themountainsidepodcast.com.